Hi, Mike, and welcome to the Techne podcast. Would you like to give us a quick introduction to yourself?
Yes, hi, hello, absolutely. So at first, let me mention that I'm truly honored, to be invited and take part in this podcast. So thank you very much, Techne, for having me. So about myself, I'm Mike Kireev. So I was born in Russia quite some years ago. So now I live in the Netherlands for the last 14 years, I think. So yeah, I outside of work. Well, let me get a little bit of personal first. So outside of work, I'm at first. I'm a father of two beautiful daughters, so 9 and 12 years old, and that's actually taken quite quite a time of my spare time from work, if I can call it like this. And yeah, I think so. If you're looking into watching the video, so you may notice in the background there's like one big thingy, yeah,
Yeah.
behind me, and people usually asking what is this mic. So I said that's my youngest daughter, did it at school a couple of years ago, and since then that's hanging behind me, so to remind me, and also yeah, to start some yes, nice small talks with people who I am connecting via video conference. Another thing also behind me that other people really asking, "Okay, what is this medals for?" So, well, that's another part of who I am outside of work.
Yeah.
So I am enjoying the endurance sports, so specifically running and triathlons. So this
Wow.
season a little bit more into the running. So I have my eye on my third major marathon this year in
Wow.
Chicago. So I'm preparing for this structurally. So I'm not doing that much of triathlons this year, but yeah, but that's generally what I am doing outside
That,
of work, and that's who I am. Yeah.
that's fantastic. I think we touched briefly last time we spoke, didn't we, on the running situation? But I didn't realise that you had a whole collection of medals. I thought it was maybe just a one-off marathon. So how many have you actually completed?
Oh, so it's difficult to tell how many I run in marathon. I think it's around 10. I don't count. So what I do count is that from people who are into. So I am of course have an eye on all the six major marathons. So and two of them I'm already run. Those are Tokyo and Boston. So this year
Wow.
I will have Chicago, and then after that I will have Berlin, London, and New York, and then I will be done. Well, okay,
Wow.
easy say than done, but at
Yeah.
least it's a good, interesting, and ambitious goal for me to achieve. So yeah,
Absolutely,
that's yeah.
absolutely. I think that's it's a great goal to have to set yourself. So, I mean, we've touched on a few things there, but what are you passionate about then? Other than running, have you got any other hobbies or you
Well,
know?
I as you see, that's one of my hobby, which actually takes quite some time for because I don't know the people who do have some participation in some sports, either professionally, semi-professionally, in the past professionally maybe, or doing it like seriously. It's actually taking quite some time for you to structure, prepare for certain events if you really
Yeah,
want to achieve certain results. So that's taking quite some time. But actually, most most of all this I mentioned that like that's picture on the other side. Like, so I'm single parent of two daughters, and it's taking quite some time. Quite of my time to just to be around for them, to help them with
of course.
education, just to take care of them, and then some and sometimes like I think every parent can relate. So I do enjoy when I have a chance some quiet moments on my own, just maybe reading a books or just finding the quiet corner and
Yeah.
enjoying the silence even. Yeah, so that's me. Yeah, it's a lot of other small things, but yeah, I think as many people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a parent myself or a father myself, should I say? But I constantly see people who have kids, and obviously I'm aware that they take up a lot of the time. It's well worth it, obviously, but I am aware that it does take up a lot of time. But anyway, so what is your education then, Mike? Where did it all start?
So as I mentioned, so I was born in Russia, and I also there I got my computer science degree. So computer science, software development. So it was called. So the in so it was Saint Petersburg University, second biggest city in Russia. So one
Yeah,
of the top technical universities there. So Polytechnical University. Quite some time ago. So I have a peculiar degree because I in practice so or in reality I do not have a master's, but I also have studied 1.5 year more than the bachelor. So at the time in Russia, it was a strange degree which goes engineer. So in fact, I studied just less. one half year less than the masters or people who I studied with. So that's I think. In fact, I on paper have only bachelor, but I studied more. And about education, I think it's what I realized quite some time after I graduated from university. It's education is important. Well, it's maybe a
Yeah,
little bit obvious thing to say, but and it's not really degree and maybe university. Well, the university it is in a way that what kind of the information and knowledge it gives you. Because when I was doing certain things for my work, for my job, preparing even for some job interviews, I realized how much of the background information on that basis that gave me. So, and especially for the people who are listening this, I think that's quite easy to fall prey into the, let's say, such opinions. Oh, education is not important, and like there's a prominent example of some made like, oh, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. Well, uh, if you look actually even in those very examples, these people are they actually studied something and they learned
yeah,
something, and then based on what they got, and say, okay, that's enough for me to continue on. Even Steve Jobs, who has, I think, less education for all the three I just named, that's a famous example how he studied the calligraphy, and that would help him, yeah, to succeed at the end, or at least partially help him to succeed with his adventures with the Mac computers. But to build a little bit upon this, I think it's again for all the people who have not completed any university or college or whatever, and successful, there are much more people who have not completed and not so successful. I think if anyone would ever done some kind of study, what is percentage of people who are not completed and not successful versus people who has completed university and not successful either, at least somehow successful, that would be yeah, I think it would show that you really need education. You don't have to maybe use it right away, you don't need to
yeah.
use your degree, but it's definitely give you some basis for the further yeah, just to be successful in life and yeah, to get some income at least. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, why the automotive industry then, or why the EE architecture, should we say? Because you don't directly work within the automotive industry, do you? So, um, why the EE architecture then? What led you to develop a career within this space?
Well, so it was partially by chance. So I started my career not in anything related to architecture or anything related to electrical or even let's say as I go to physical world. So first probably 10 years of my career I was doing this, so spending time in various roles in more abstract if I dare to call it things like a database development, some what was not cloud computing at the time, but at least some remote system and so on. And then at some point in time I realized that I want to make deliberate shift. So I maybe yeah maybe I'll explain a bit later. I want to make a deliberate shift to career from more focusing on a process
Right,
to from focusing on a process to more focusing on the content. So then I decided I want to pursue product management position. And when I started preparing, I actually realized I do like the things which are in physical world. So all the devices related things, IoT, and also embedded software related things. So what you can actually see
yeah,
and even touch and use yourself. Well, not like use like a website, but like really, it's at least it makes me really happy when you say, oh, that's device that's here, it's moving, oh, it's doing what I made it to do. Wow, that's incredible. So that's partially this goal and this desire plus some opportunity, so a little bit of a luck, and that's how I ended up in so EV charging, so industry, well, if you can call it industry, but at least electrotechnical and connected, of course, to automotive industry very closely area. Yeah.
fantastic. So, um, what was your career path then to get to your current position?
Yeah, so as I touched a little bit on this, so after university, I started as just a normal software developer. So I'm focusing on a database development, all this like a SQL queries for people who know it, and then doing things which are nowadays or well, it goes more like ERP systems. So doing things like, for example, the writing or helping other people to develop systems for library automation, libraries with the books, like when you go and get the books, that's in the system which checks in and checks out books. So I was, for example, doing this kind of things. Then I went from a software developer a little bit to like a senior developer, then to a team lead, and at some point in time, I went into area of agile project management. So that's more focusing on a process rather than on really doing development myself. So that's also how I moved to the Netherlands. And then after being in a couple of positions in this area in different companies, so I realized that I really, what I already mentioned, so I want to do something connected more to the, as I call it now, I come with a term like subject matter.
Right.
So they're really doing something or being contributing or defining maybe even what needs to be done rather than how that should be done in the most optimal way even. So I decided I want to go for the role of product owner if you're talking about like agile scrum terminology, or at the time like a technical product manager, so the person who is uh, defining what product should look like, but a little bit less focused on the commercial part, on the marketing part, or at least that was for me at the time more feasible move. And I started searching for the opportunities there. So it was a little bit it was not so smooth. So I went to one company. It was not so successful there. So then I start really I determined to get the role I want, and that actually too was not quite fast at least, but
Yeah.
yeah, at the end I succeed. That's what I mentioned. So I joined ABB Mobility several years ago, and think that's how I become also entered the EE industry. Automotive connect start to connect the automotive. So yeah, that's my story. For yeah, that's what was my what is my career. Yeah, I would say so
Absolutely.
far. Yeah, well, not so far,
Just
but yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no, no problem, no problem. Just so the viewers are aware, what is it that you currently do right now?
Yeah, yeah. It's that I was about to say, because that's for the probably the last
Yeah,
about 8 years or so I spent in ABB in the
ABB, yeah,
company, and also focusing on product management. But like recently, I relatively recently, a couple of months ago, I joined another company in the same industry but in different role. So what I wanted to try for some time a little bit different role,
yeah,
and it is engineering manager. So it's basically responsible on also for the. So I was still staying connected to subject matter, but responsible for the delivery, responsible for the people management, and this kind of thing. So that's my role now. So I'm now engineering manager at EVBox for the area of the smart charging, as we call it.
fantastic. And the smart charging or the EV charging started at ABB, is that correct?
Yeah. Well, so in general, I started my my first meeting with EV charging world happened, of course, in with ABB about
Yeah,
8 years ago, and then since then, I should admit I fell in love with this. So I do not I don't even think about going somewhere else. So of course, there could be some flavors, let's say, but
yeah,
the like charging, smart charging, energy management. That's truly the things I'm passionate about, and I would like to stay in this industry and develop
fantastic.
myself also further in this area for sure. Yeah,
That's brilliant. So you're really on sort of the right path in terms of business and pleasure then, should we
I
say?
hope so. Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
fantastic. So, what would you say the key achievements or highlights of your career have been?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think looking back, that's there are a couple of things which could be a little bit controversial to each other. But in the first place, I think my personal achievements, it's not one but several, is that for the most of my roles, I was not searching for them, and including like the recent one. So my
Okay.
engineering manager in EVBox, I was invited. So I wasn't really looking for the job. I was invited. So I consider I was famous enough, I could say, in the
Yeah,
industry or in the area, or at least to be found by recruiters, to be offered that position, and then going on and so on. And that was not first and not once, not twice happened with me. So I consider it definitely an achievement. On other side, the example that I mentioned about ABB, is that I defined myself what I want. So I set myself a plan, and then I really went for it. It was not easy, it was not fast, but at the end I got the role I really I could not even dream about at the time, to be honest. and I consider this personal achievement definitely in my career. So one, again, to summarize, one is that I could position myself in the ways that I could be approached for the certain roles and positions, and another is making this it was actually a career shift, because going from a process oriented person in agile world, and also in a different type of industry, into another industry, into another role,
Yeah,
it's truly for me the career shift, and I was able to make it, and quite successfully. So I think that's
absolutely.
definitely yeah, another very very big achievement for me.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, if you've done to get to your point, to get to your position that you're in now, sorry, I think you've done really well. I think as well, touching back on the point that you made about being invited to your current position. I think that what we always say here at Techne is that the industries, the architecture, automotive, future mobility in as a whole, and infrastructure is built up on person to person connections. So it looks like you've left a good impression on somebody, and then obviously that word's got passed about. Would you say that's correct?
No,
That you've,
absolutely. So just
yeah,
a little bit like 30 seconds of advertising of myself. So if you
yeah,
look myself up at LinkedIn, and
yeah.
you look up the post I wrote when I was leaving KBB, and you see how many reactions and what kind of words that people are saying
There you go.
there, so you can truly understand that
Yeah,
I made an impact in that company and in that industry. So I'm
there
really
you go.
recognized as one of the experts, I could say. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. So, I mean, with that being said, then, have you accomplished something that was extremely difficult, or even hasn't been done in the industry before?
Well, definitely, but I would at first say that it's almost never one person achieves this. It's a company,
Yeah.
it's a team you're working with. So it's I do take a credit, but I share these credits with my teams and with my
Hmm.
company who were by me at the time. So, and to name only the few, so we helped our customers, and so we rolled out the first cross country network. So even like the cross country, it was in one. So it was in North America. So in United States. So Electrify America is the CPO name. So we
Yeah.
really helped to them to start it. So we installed the first site there, and then we are doing the install the software there for the chargers, and worked on this project. I think for me, that's definitely one of the achievements, and also achievement for the industry. And then the same example also in Europe for Ionity. Then I could go to another example like electrifying one of the first electric bus depots in Germany, and
Okay.
so on. And also not to forget, so for the people who are a little bit more familiar with EV charging and charging point operators business. So we were once one of the, well, I can say we are the first one who provided on the chargers authentication mechanism of plug and charge working end to end. So that's definitely to be proud of.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
also the one remark I would say that usually, well, not usually, usually probably it's a bit too much to say. Sometimes you do not realize the achievement in the moment, because like you focus on certain things, and there's a lot of things to which goes wrong, which needs to be improved when you focus on this. But then you look back and say, "Oh man, but
Yeah.
that was actually achievement. We did it. We did it first, and our competitors was not able to do it. Yes, it was not ideal. Yes, there were some bugs. Yes, there were some issues. Yes, there were some complaints. But yes, at the end, even the customers acknowledge and really thankful for this work that we did. So yeah, that's like
Absolutely.
just to name a couple of achievements. Yeah.
Yeah, I think touching on that point as well, I think when you first finish, especially in the industry that you work in, that we work in, sorry, is that your projects can be like 2, 3 years. So when you actually finish them with everything that's gone on over them couple of years, it's not until you can relax and you take a step back from it all, and you look at it and you think, oh, actually that was something I could really be proud of. So yeah,
Yep.
absolutely fantastic. So with that again, with that being said again, what have you learned over your career then? And we don't expect you to go into mass amounts of technical detail here, but just on sort of the personal level, what would you say you've learned?
No, I think it's, well, the couple of things if you talk about the career, and I try to be a bit less technical and more general. So, and the first is that if you want to have a successful career, you need first to set certain goals.
Yeah.
And go should not be like, okay, I would like to be CEO of a company, of the company in 10, 15, 20 years. It just could be just, I don't know, I want to have fun from my work, but you need to clearly understand what your goal is and what the fun in this case would mean for you, and then try to make a plan and follow this plan, and don't be afraid to change the plan. But the most important is you need to understand what you want, set this goal, write it down, and try to achieve it. I think that's what I did essentially when I was doing the career shift. So I realized it only after, actually, that, oh,
Yeah.
that's what I did. Whoa, that was fantastic. And with again, so to mention this career shift, don't be afraid to try the new things if you feel so, and if you want to do it. So because only by trying you can understand what you actually like and what you don't like. So, and that also the failure could be in a way the achievement. So well, I may not remember. I think it's forgive me please if I cannot quote it precisely. There's this lines from, I believe it's a Samuel Beckett, who said that, um, so ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try
Okay.
again, fail better. So,
Okay.
and that's really how I think that you should approach it. So there's nothing bad in a failure. So, and you need to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Um, and the most experience and the most useful knowledge comes actually from the most challenging situation, which could result in a failure. So don't be afraid. And again, to mention, to refer to one of the quotes, I think it was quite recently. It was Roger Federer, who was doing some speech in one of the graduation
Yes,
in
I've
some
seen this.
university.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he mentioned that, okay, so I actually failed quite a lot of my life, so I only won something like 50+% of the points. But we all know how successful his career is, and his point was
Yes.
that, okay, so do not, when the point is over, it doesn't matter if I won or lost, it's over. Yes, you can go to it later, and probably you should, to study and get the experience from it. But do not like go over to say, oh, it was bad, and so it's over. It's over. So that's it. Focus on
Yeah.
what's important now. I think that's
Absolutely.
not even me, but just to refer to other.
Yeah.
I consider it much more successful people giving advices. So yeah, yeah,
So don't dwell on. But I also resonate with the Roger Federer one. I watched that recently actually, um, and it's a it's a very good way of, well, the way he puts it. I think in a tennis terms that everybody can understand. I think it's a great way of putting it. And what I've took from that is obviously don't dwell on it.
yeah,
There's always another opportunity, or there's another point to go, or yeah. So I think it's a fantastic point.
indeed.
So if you could go back to the start of your career with all the knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, so I would like to little bit to answer a little bit extended on this one. So,
Absolutely.
and at first, I think referring to what we just discussed about the Roger Federer advice. So, I think you should not. I truly believe a little bit different twist to this. I truly believe that you all what is done and what you have done is to for the best, and you also have done the best decision or action at the time, at the circumstances you had, and with the experience and knowledge you had, you did make a best decision, and you did the best move. But if, of course, I from today would go to that situation, I don't know, 2 3 5 years ago, because I am now much more experienced, I have that experience, also that very experience which may at the time that action may lead to something which seems not so optimal. So okay, now I do know it, I would act differently because I know that would cause a different outcome, and that's the most preferred for me. So coming back to original question, would I have done something differently? I think at first, what I have done is actually led to where I am now. So
Yeah.
I am quite happy, to be honest, in at this moment in life. But if I of today would be in the very same situation that I myself was 2 5 3, I don't know, 2 5 10 years ago, of course I would make a different decision because I'm more experienced, I have more knowledge, I have different perspective. So yes, I would do things differently. What exactly and in which case, I think is a little bit of speculation. That's
Yeah,
about like a Roger Federer example, like, oh well, I could have done this, I could have hit this ball a bit different. Okay, it doesn't matter anymore. Yes. So,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, so that you have that experience. Okay, when I face this very same type of the ball, I lost the last time. I could hit it differently, so I win next time. So I think that's
Absolutely.
probably the a little bit not a direct yes or no answer, but I hope it's satisfying and provide my perspective on this. Yeah.
No, it's absolutely fair. It's a fair. That's such a. I think that question's it's a tough question because ultimately, if I was to answer that question, I would say I don't have any sort of regrets in any actions I've took or any decisions I've made because I'm exactly the same. Ultimately, I'm different than I was 5, 10 years ago. I've grown, I've learned, and without the mistakes or the problems that you face, you don't grow, do you? So, I completely agree with you. I think that's a great point. Is there anything you would have done differently then? I know we've probably answered that just on that question, but
Yeah, I could. So again, so if let's say let's take a little bit not so hypothetical example about me doing the career shift. So I mentioned that I work for several companies, and then uh, I wanted to, so I made kind of decision at the time that I want to go for the product management. And I went to the to another company hoping that it would be successor. It was not, and then I went on a path to search for opportunity. So looking back as it, I and with experience, I would say no. Probably the best for me would be just to stay to that very company where I realized that I want to make the shift. Where it's also internally it was not possible for the good reasons, but yeah, so everyone was open about it. Then then start searching from there until I really find something decent. So I didn't do it, but I would do it differently. Yes, I would. But probably I would not get this opportunity from ABB
yeah,
or God knows what. So they're different this. But yes, definitely this one example, I would do something differently. But I couldn't do it anymore. So
absolutely,
that's it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It like you say, if you do something different, then you end up in it with a different. We end up with a different mic now, don't we? Ultimately,
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. Maybe I was not good with talking to you here.
yeah, yeah,
It's like this a bit of
absolutely.
yeah, big butterfly effect. Yeah. Yeah.
So this section that we're going into now gives you the opportunity to discuss a topic within the industry that's unique, that you're passionate about, and will be unique to the podcast itself. So, yeah, I mean, when you're ready,
Well, so about a bit industry, maybe just a couple of words, but then I would like to mention something a bit other thing. So about industry, I mentioned that yeah, I really like it being there, and for me, when I was also given this offer from a company I work now, EVBox, it was important for me to stay in the industry. So I can tell a lot. I can speak a lot about EV charging. Also, like some speculations. Oh, is it on the rise? Is it in consolidation? Is it on decline? Whatever. So I have my own opinion about certain aspects of it, and I have, let's say, in some parts a little bit more informed than in other parts a little bit less.
yeah,
But I think for me, and also for the people who are listening, I think it is important to be in the place you're really passionate about
yeah,
and you're interested and its nature comes for you. So it's not like it's not pushed on you from whatever direction. And about a topic that I would like to discuss is, or actually to talk, or not to discuss really, is to mention. I think it's quite common nowadays, not even nowadays, for a lot of time to talk about work-life balance. And I think for myself, and then I would, yeah, you can take it as advice also. I think work-life balance is very, for me, it's not set in stone. I think you
no,
need to be in a balance with your inner one at any moment in time. Because if you feel you are in a balance doing 12 hours days, 6 hours work week, and if you do enjoy it and you could sustain it for some period of time, and then you know why you are doing this, that's great. That's your work-life balance. Well, if you have, for example, just a newborn child and you want to work, I don't know, half time or I don't know, 4 days a week or so, and for you that is a balance, that's your work-life balance. So look at it, decide what is important for you, what would give you that balance, and maybe you need to experiment a little bit with this as well, and also to understand what kind of the support you would need, either like a practical support in terms of arranging something, or support of your family and friends and yeah, and relatives. uh, that's it. So it's not like, oh, okay, the work-life balance does not exist. No, it does
Yeah.
exist. Oh, you need to mix your calendar, work calendar, with a personal calendar. Oh, another thing. Oh, yet another thing. You can do all of this or none of this if it's okay for you. Just
Hmm.
be with your balance inside yourself, and that would
Absolutely.
give you the work-life balance in any other areas as well. By the way, so that would be my answer to this. I would say, well, hot topic throughout the years already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've heard of David Goggins before. Is that somebody you're familiar with?
No, not really. It
No,
doesn't ring a
he's
bell.
he's an ultramarathon runner anyway. I read his book. I read his book. I thought that you might have heard of him for that reason. But he runs ultramarathons. He's known as this the Americans Ironman and all this. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, my point is that I read his book, and in the book he says if you work out your day properly, there's always space. You can always find time. Maybe the hour that you sat watching TV, or the hour that the half an hour that you're on your phone, or there's always time for you to do what the other things that you want or you need to do. Um, so I broke my day down, found probably about 4 hours spare time, and you just, from doing that, it's amazing, isn't it? What you actually figure out.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Just today, I sneaked in my training run around lunchtime. So, and also I know that I could do, and also there are other things. Not today, but I was doing sometimes like well, quite some of us doing the late calls in the night because
Yeah,
it was in the US or because it has to be done,
yeah,
or waking up early because whatever. So that's and that was normal for me. And yeah, that should be normal for you. And if you really want something to do, you for sure can find the time. Yes.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, if you could look to the future, then, are there any areas across the EE technical spectrum that you would recommend specialising in?
Whew. The good question and a difficult one. So
Yeah,
going to another quote, this time from Nobel Prize winner from physics Niels Bohr, who said like predictions are very difficult, especially about the future. So I don't even dare to do any predictions. I can tell what I have learned from my own experience and more a little bit to generalize. So uh, at first, so you what I already mentioned, so the education is important because
yeah,
it gives you some basis and give you some starting point, so you have kind of head start on the people who don't have this, and that's for sure. What I learned also, what it was actually advice from one of my university professors, and I learned that it's true, and I am living example of this advice myself, because when I went to EE industry for the EV charging, so it was not so many people who has a background and experience in software development, and that really helped me and also my company, my colleagues excel at Zen, because I had this understanding of how software works. They have understanding how electrical stuff works. So
okay,
together we could do more, and also for you as a person in your career, that really helps like to apply certain knowledge on the border of something or in an area where it was not applied before. So I think it's generic example and generic advice, but that helped me. So in this case, so if you talk about EE, maybe it's a application to somewhere else where you have not thinking about, or someone or no one else thought about it, or no one else thought it's so important. I think that's my personal experience.
yeah,
About industry, well, I think we need to see. So it's like nowadays, for example, it's like what's the most fashionable thing? Because it's artificial intelligence, AI, right? So okay,
yes,
now we
yeah,
need to see how, and then okay, that's technology. That certain things. It's a tool. Some people could say, okay, it's breakthrough. It's going to change the world. Maybe yes, maybe no, but it's definitely a tool. And what using this example, what you could do is try to see how you can use this tool to the area where you are working. So I, for example, when I was still product management, we have very useful course, and
Yeah.
I used some of this. How you can actually apply artificial intelligence or generative AI to the work of product managers. It just really, it saves you time, it gives you some additional edge and so on. But it's like applying the certain technologies and certain new things to the area where you are operating. That's what I'm referring to. So
Okay.
but in general, yeah, I don't have anything specific and say, oh yes, no one understands it, but that's going to be breakthrough. I don't
Yeah.
have it. So it's all what people already know, especially who are familiar a little bit with this industry. So it's self-driving is going to be there.
Yeah.
So autonomous driving, I mean the cars. So artificial intelligence somehow will be applied maybe to this area. So then the energy management just has to happen a little bit
Yeah.
how, and that's another thing, but it's more like a problem that needs to be solved. And there are a couple of other things which are, if you think twice, they're rather obvious. Yeah, those one I can probably, well, I cannot predict how exactly it will unfold, but that will be there for sure. Yeah, but in general, so I don't dare to make any bold predictions, to be honest. Yeah.
No, no, absolutely not. And I also think in terms of, I mean, the areas you've just pointed out um, are definitely the main sort of topics of conversation, aren't they? But I think in terms of specialising in a specific field, like maybe mechanical or software or hardware or functional safety or anything like that, I think it's a very open conversation in terms of that when it comes to the industries, because you could start off as a systems engineer and end up as a safety engineer, or you could start off as a mechanical. You could do your bachelor's in mechanical engineering and end up as a software engineer. There's so many different avenues, and at the moment within the industry that it's very open, isn't it? Very open, the industry at the moment, which is good thing, but obviously we're trying to bridge that gap so that there's enough engineers within the industry. So what is up and coming in the industry then, Mike?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things still to mention. So I would say we need to look into other industries
Yeah.
and see what are the new technologies or new ways or even the standards, if you will, used there, and see that how that could be. Well, so if you're lucky enough, you see how it could be used. If you're a little bit behind, you need to just to live with it and see that it's how it has to be used. So one example is like the attention to the user experience. So
Yes.
it started with the phones, with the web, and so on, and now it's going to. So if you go to your, I don't know, to say relatively recently produced car, and the driver say, "Oh, that's slow, that's awkward. I cannot figure out how that works." So there's already a certain threshold how you supposed to design your user interface in the
Yeah.
car. There was before, just okay, remember, like 10 years ago it was just, oh, did this speedometers and things like this. Well, maybe 10 years, okay, like 15 years ago, and that was okay. But now, because the people are spoiled, I dare to
Yeah.
say, with the phones and the lightning fast responses and UI, they want it everywhere. So
Yeah.
just example how in one place it started, and then another things it has to be adopted.
Yeah.
That's a
Absolutely.
little bit like, let's say, nice example. Another example is, I think it's quite prominent, becoming very prominent, is cybersecurity. So in
Yes.
one place where it has to be done, it was done, but now it's going like everywhere. So you have to protect it, like it was like 2 days ago, right? This outage by Microsoft when the software update was causing this disturbance of even of the flights.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're going to things like I don't know, like transformers, so that needs to be protected, and so on and so forth. So that needs to be addressed, and it could be opportunity for you as engineer, as anyone, just to say, oh, okay, well, that it has to be done.
Right.
as a
Yeah.
good way or bad way. So that's, but for the business people and for the engineers, it could be opportunity. So I think look at the places where certain breakthrough already happening or happened, and see if that's, it's not always applicable. It's not always immediately applicable, but I think it's a good like rule of thumb to look around to see, okay, that's, so user interface, user interactions is the key now. So everything you are touching now will be soon, certain standards will be raised. That's
Yeah.
I would dare to, well, maybe not to predict, but at least to put a significant band. If it's like the consumer faced the device or whatever, then it's it has to go up if it's not yet there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think very good point. I would never. Well, I haven't thought of that as a, in a whole so far. So the point you're making is that, or the point you made, one of the points you made was when iPhones and when everything else started advancing, every other part of technology has to sort of try and keep up with that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's technology as a whole. If you put that into a ball, that's what it kind of the image you painted in my head here. So the whole of technology is in a ball, and whichever part advances in it, everybody else has to sort of try and keep up with it. Which is it's actually it's fascinating to think about.
Mhm.
Brilliant. So is there anything currently impacting the sector then?
Well, so I can speak maybe only relatively confident about like my dairy industry, which is EV charging, and maybe just a little bit extending to electrical vehicle industry. So there's like um, the main, I say, dominant opinion that it's going a little bit down or it flattening out, while there are some opinions that, oh, it's just maybe for the short period of time it will go up again. So maybe.
Yeah.
So I think what is going to happen is, in one way or another, there will be some consolidation, which is normal for the such a relatively new industry, in different producers of certain hardware, and also the service providers, so charge point operators in this case. There is a big chance, I think quite a decent chance, that in United States it will go up because of the subsidies, and also in general because they are a little bit behind and they do have the money, so the money was allocated for this.
Yeah.
Um, about the electrical vehicle industry, while the growth may be slowing down, it still will be growth. So there will be no like, okay, oh, it will not be reversed back. So no electric cars anymore. So it's
Yeah.
stupid. It's
Yeah.
it's it's expensive. No way. Total cost of ownership is unaffordable. Blah blah whatever. So it's there for sure.
Yeah.
It may be slowed down a little bit. Maybe we have some players will have more success than others. It a bit depends on the strategy, but it's there will be steadily growing, and it's here. So it's here to
It
stay
is.
for sure. And you can safely bet that it's just like as general, like a cars in general, they
Yeah.
will be there. Though the electric cars also will be there. And also, if you talk about the electric vehicle industry, so there will be, I think, quite big or noticeable shift to the trucks and buses. So it's
Okay.
not the passenger vehicles, not the private vehicles, but more like to the industrial and fleet industrial, actually, and other things, so even more than just trucks and buses. I think there we will see steady but considerable growth, I would say. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, really interesting. So, I mean, last question for you, Mike. Why should people choose a career across the architecture in automotive infrastructure, future mobility? Why should people choose a career within this space?
Oh, the great and difficult question. So at first they don't have to, right? It's
Yeah.
it's up to everyone to see what you like, what you think is promising. I think, well, the like is very personal part. Of course, if you like it, yes, let's go for it. There are some opportunities I just explained, so it's there to stay. It's safe bet, because the cars will be there,
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
just mentioned. So I mean, on a high level. So But referring a little bit back to what I mentioned before. So if it's for you something that you could actually you work on something and use something with you produced yourself, which is moving, which is working. For me, that's like the one of the greatest motivation and then rewards at the end. If there's something for you, I think it's definitely also the industry for you.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of exciting opportunities going forward. Yeah, so I would say why not? So why not give it a try? Also, as I mentioned, so maybe you try, maybe you think you're maybe not so exciting about it, but you give it a try and you'll love it at the end, like I did. Well, maybe it will be the other way around, but then you have
yeah,
a lesson learned. So that would be success again. So right, remembering my
absolutely.
reference to the Samuel Beckett. So
Yeah, I think the one of the biggest points I'll take out of the things you've just said there is like the amount of opportunity there is at the moment. I mean, if you're looking to grow a career and really make a difference within an industry, I think there's no better time or place to sort of do that. The amount of talent that's needed and to sort of boost the economy of the industries in the space, I think it's vital. So yeah, another very good point. But listen, Mike, that's the end of the questions. It's been really great to have you on. Thank you so much for being a part of the incentive and yeah, thanks for being a part of it.
yeah, thanks for having me. As I mentioned, so it's truly a pleasure, and I'm honored to be invited and take a
Good.
part. Thanks for having me.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. See you later.
See you. Have a nice day.